Electricast.
Introducing Fidelity Trader Plus. With customizable tools and charts you can access across all your devices. Try our most powerful trading platform yet at fidelity.com/trader plus. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE, SIPC.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you. I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or Whatever Movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host Iris and I'm here with my older brother
Wesley. And today I'm joined by my guest Iris, who holds a degree in English literature as well as a master's degree in producing, being a member of the prestigious Peter Stark producing program out of USC.
Alumnus, yep.
We're talking about HAMNET. And because Iris is our resident expert, we will be conducting this discussion interview style.
It's nice to be here, Wes.
Let's start with the proc, shall we?
Go.
What right has, in your opinion, Chloe Zhao to direct HAMNET?
That's a great question. Chloe Zhao assembled this amazing international pan-European team to make HAMNET this ultra-authentic, oddly contemporary, earthen, dirty, grounded love story tragedy that was really surprising.
Earthen, dirty, grounded. That's like a triple redundancy.
There's some redundancy in HAMNET. I think it's her team is the short answer. But I think that what is Chloe Zhao about HAMNET is the humanity of it. I mean, and that's the best that I think any director can bring to a story.
Man, that was such a political answer, or such a apolitical answer.
And yet substantial and true.
Do you remember Love Actually, when Hugh Grant as the Prime Minister walks in on Billy Bob, spoiler, with his aide?
Yeah, there's lots of double crossing and two-timing in Love Actually.
And so Billy Bob emerges and they have their press conference and he says, we got what we wanted and everything, and we look forward to our two nations being still special relationship or whatever. And Hugh Grant says, we're a small country, but we're a great one too, referring to Britain as opposed to the towering authority that is the U.S. And what does he say? What does he list as the foremost accolade of Britain?
Love?
Country of Shakespeare, Churchill, Sean Connery, the Beatles, David Beckham's right foot, David Beckham's left foot. Shakespeare is quintessentially British. It is the British story, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Harry Potter?
Harry Potter. It's definitely the country of Harry Potter for generations of people, yes.
When it comes to national stories and cultural identities, Shakespeare is it for Britain. You would think they would want a Caucasian person to tell this story. Otherwise, the internet might rise up in outrage. Chloe Zhao is not British. Chloe Zhao is not Caucasian. She's in fact Chinese.
I'd be curious to know the stats on how much of an export Shakespeare actually is. I mean, public domain, of course, but very representative of British history, culture, identity, storytelling. HAMNET, of course, being the quintessential Shakespeare. I don't even know if I said HAMNET or Hamlet. Did I say Hamlet?
All right.
They're interchangeable. But what you're getting at is, should it have been a British person? And maybe I'm defensive because, I'm an Asian American, Japanese Mexican American who wants to tell a British story, specifically about the life of Bram Stoker. And I feel like if I tell a human one, then I have every right to tell it.
What's the word for being apolitical, for being non-committal?
Evasive?
Yeah. So, HAMNET. Did you think that Bill and Agnes were already married and doing a weird role-playing thing?
When he first sees her, he comes in awfully hot. And so I see
and you mean that
how you can say that.
It's very, very carefully chosen word.
Double meaning? Because he comes
in
respects, and he's just hot and smoldery no matter what Paul Mescal does. Mescal. But he's also it's love at first sight for Willie. So I can see why you're saying that. But no, I got it pretty quickly. She was just the one for him. It didn't take her long to realize after she, did the hand thing that he was the one for her.
Yeah, it was very obvious that she was the one, and he had decided that. He was, I think, pretty obviously like a childish Tony Manero kind of punk.
Tony Manero?
Yeah.
Was that a Saturday Night Fever reference?
It is.
Doesn't John Travolta get smacked at the dinner table just like
Exactly.
Willie?
And he's an aggressive punk who's all up on the ladies and stuff. He was so forward with her. He was so obviously like the womanizing, like punk kind of dude. On that note, when the dad smacks him really hard, is that how he got that weird cut on his head, which very obviously should have had stitches?
Oh, the one that she heals with the mugwort or whatever?
Yeah, but it was never explained, right? I was just like, he's got like a wound on his head.
Yeah, no, his whole house was like a torture chamber waiting to happen. And his dad obviously abusive. So yeah, I guess I didn't really think too much about it. It just gave her something to tend to and for them to have like intimate, close moments. But yeah, it was probably the 100th injury from, the 100th incident of abuse.
He's a tortured child, a tortured poet waiting to happen. He just was longing to burst out of that terrible house and do amazing things.
Yeah, he was overly educated and tortured. It's like the perfect recipe for becoming the greatest poet and artist of his time.
Someone just said that you can either have, maybe it was Ricky Gervais or maybe he was quoting Chris Rock or something, who said you can have a good personality or you can have a happy childhood, but you can't have both.
That's interesting. If you have a happy childhood, you automatically have a bad personality?
Yeah, you're just going to be like complacent and crappy and self-interested and stuff. Whereas if you experience turmoil and have to fend for yourself, then you develop character. It was character. It wasn't a good personality.
It makes me think of this thing I heard on the radio where this brain scientist was talking about how when she was doing her own self-examination and reflection on her life, not brain examination, but like reflection on her life, she had this revelation that she thought all of her life that she was unhappy because life was hard. And then she realized that she was unhappy because her life was too easy.
That's that's deep. Let's do an additional proc. Is the condition of the British people, at least of Shakespeare's time, and white people, one of languishing in sadness and abusive homes and not reaching one's potential?
Is this you asking if 16th century British people or Londoners specifically are just like plague and living in the mud, like dirty and sick and stuff?
Can we call them the Shakespeares as a family?
No, we cannot. No. Oh, huh. That's weird.
I mean, obviously the Shakespeares experience a problem, but do the Shakespeares...
Are you talking about his family of origin, or are you talking about his family with Agnes?
Agnes, who other people have referred to as Anne Hathaway.
What?
You remember this controversy that William Shakespeare's wife was named Anne Hathaway, and the pictures of her, the artist depictions, drawings and paintings, she looks eerily like Anne Hathaway of current day.
No, this is so weird.
And her current husband looks just like William Shakespeare as depicted by artist renderings.
What? Anne Hathaway's husband, the actor?
Yeah, so there's weirdness in the Anne, Agnes, HAMNET, Hamlet, Wesley, Westney thing. That as a family, they didn't really have problems. When he gets smacked around, he's like, F you, I'm going to the city of culture and the center of creativity. He was like, I'm going to buy the largest house in Stratford. And Agnes she's kind of... These restrictions were self-imposed. She wouldn't go with him when he was going because she's a witch. And poor Hamnet was a son of a witch. And they were just writhing and crying in the dirt. And why didn't she go with him to the center of London where she could experience the best medical care that money can buy kind of thing, you know?
I didn't get the impression that she thought of their situation as being restricted. It seemed very clearly by her choice to remain in the forest where she belongs and she feels connected to the land, and that the kids, until they were old enough to kind of withstand the dangers of London, like the very real sickness, but also just like, I don't know, the hard knock life, that they would stay with their mom, and that made sense. I did think it was kind of interesting that so much of Will's transformation happens off screen, that he's away and he's becoming this incredible playwright, and yet that's not the story we're focused on.
Nope, nor the book.
So kind of an interesting choice for the film and for the book. So, I mean, really what we got is his multiple family arcs, right? Him standing up to his dad and kind of cleaving from his original family, and then the evolution of his relationship with Agnes, and as a father and as a man, balancing being a creative and being a father and being a husband and also being a tortured poet bard.
Yeah, the book focused on the wife, and honestly, I don't think William Shakespeare is ever uttered in this entire movie.
It is. I noted this because I watched this with subtitles, and you know how the subtitles always identify a character if they're speaking off screen. He was always identified as husband.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like very intentionally not using William Shakespeare, and I was like, okay, but he is obviously William Shakespeare, right? Like there was this, 1% reserve of hesitation where I was like, is he William Shakespeare? I think this is where we're going with this. But then near the end, when Agnes and Bartholomew are approaching the globe, the kid pokes his head out the window and is like, who are you here for? What's your business? And they're like, we're here for William Shakespeare. And I was like, there it is.
That was it. This Hamnet thing really tripped you up.
It really did. Well, plus there's all this witchery, and I wanted to know, are we in like Vivitch land?
Exactly.
Where there's magical realism and there's this mysticism element and the forest is magical and all that kind of stuff? Or is this supposed to be like I said, grounded story?
That is my question for you. A perfect segue, almost too perfect. Are we in Vivitch land? Is this supernatural, or is it just superstitious bumpkinism?
Well, every time she commands him to look at her, he does.
I guess so.
I was in the car on a road trip with Allison Espinosa. Do you remember? My friend
Yes.
Allison, who lived up the block.
Uh-huh.
And we were going somewhere with her parents, and the car was like this cushy, like Crown Vic type car, and they had all of these lambskin car seat covers and like hella air freshener, and I felt so sick in this car. And I willed
Air freshener.
I willed Allison's dad to turn on the air. I was in the back seat and I was like, turn on the air, turn on the air, turn on the air in my head. And then he turned on the air and I was like, oh, and I felt like I could breathe. And I was a witch. Shout out to Allison Espinosa.
Did Emily Watson reject Agnes because she was a witch?
Yeah, or
I listened carefully. She called her a wench.
Yeah, exactly. So she was so aggressively opposed to their union, and then they're kind of stuck together. So Agnes moved into the Shakespeare house, right? After they were
the seniors, yes. The Shakespeare seniors.
Right, Shakespeare seniors. That seemed like a big sacrifice on her part. What did he say when he said that they did it without sin? He said that they were hand betrothed or something?
I do not recall the exact term, but they did it with sin for sure. The Shakespeare juniors did it with sin.
They did it with love. He said he asked for her hand and she was like, all right. And then they did it.
That was the witchiest birth scene ever. And even though it wasn't like, I don't believe that it should have been supernatural, still, when he looked down her witch hole, I was like, oh, you sure that's what you want to do?
Hand-fasted witch hole. Are you talking about the cave?
Yeah, the weird tree cave.
What was with that? And I realized it was connected to the basically portal to the other realm that the ghost of the king comes out of at the globe.
It was the birth cavern of death. I don't know. I mean,
Birth cavern of death.
They're the two pillars of British culture, and one is Shakespeare and the other is Harry Potter. And in that case, the witch hole leads directly to Hogsmeade, right?
Diagon Alley? No, you just use the flume powder or whatever.
Right, flu.
Flu powder? Flu
Powder, yes.
Yeah, so what was the butthole vag?
The cloaca?
Yeah, the cloaca.
Man, you got to give me credit. I called that term to mind immediately because what is the butthole vag is the vaguest question that's ever been asked on this podcast.
How is that vague? How is that not ultra uber specific? But this is basically like the cloaca of birth and death.
True. Oh, man, that's good. That's a poster quote.
But I didn't understand what it meant necessarily. It was just symbolic of something.
But we spent a lot of time on things like the witch hole, which were, I guess, thematically relevant. The protracted birth drama, all the stuff happening with the birth and the stillbirth but not stillbirth of the other one. I was like, oh, she's alive. The hawk's death, all that stuff was the bird, the harbinger of death, as is so often the case.
I mean, it wasn't a crow. I think hawks are more. What are hawks symbolic of?
Birds in general. I mean, they weren't crows in the farewell. They were like sparrows or some junk.
The Aquafina movie?
Yeah. Were you at any time distracted by Jessie Buckley's weird thumbs?
I'm not a person who has a hand thing, although I know plenty of people who do.
This movie was a hand thing movie.
I didn't notice her thumbs, but I did notice how dirty everyone's fingers were. If anything, I was distracted by the dirty fingernails.
I mean, not conducive to disease-free, ailment-free birth.
Exactly. I felt really bad for Agnes when they wouldn't let her go have her birth ceremony in the forest.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty traumatic to have, when you're under such incredible stress and pressure to not be able to kind of do it like you want to. But it really was in her best interest. I mean, it was flooded. It was raining and the river was flooded.
I think in-laws typically want the best for you, even though it may sometimes be misguided. Another good segue. As an expert in this particular field, I feel secure in asking you this question. Does motherhood suck?
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Life is hard, but finding a really great podcast makes the days go by so much easier. Hi, my name is Blue Telusma. I'm a writer, an emotional intelligence coach, and the host of Humanize with Blue Telusma, a podcast where we believe that when you humanize everyone in the room, a great conversation is almost guaranteed. Join us every week here on Electricast as me and my guest co-hosts unpack big topics and interview even bigger personalities with a sense of humor and a dash of mischief. If you're looking for a new best friend in your head, we've got you covered. Electricast.
Are you constantly living in fear that these little dumbasses are going to die, or that you will die and you'll be unable to provide for and care for said dumbasses?
That's definitely a glass is half empty kind of perspective on motherhood. But yes, there are elements of it that suck and that are stressful and that are existential. And I worry all the time that my children will die. And I think that they've only amplified my morbid thoughts about life. That being said, they're also the greatest joy, and they bring movement and surprise and delight.
And they inspire the world's greatest drama.
And they inspired what is perhaps the world's greatest drama. My question about the Agnes character and motherhood and the portrayal of motherhood in this movie is, does HAMNET being about the Agnes character, focusing on the Agnes character, who also gets top billing in this film, does it pass the Bechdel test? What's the Bechdel test?
The Bechdel test is that two female characters must have a conversation not involving a man.
Okay. Agnes is definitely the main character, correct?
Uh-huh.
She has lots of opportunities to talk with the mother-in-law, I suppose, but her world is very small. Do they ever have a conversation that's And I'm going to extend the subject of men to children or to motherhood. Does she talk about anything other than being a mom or a wife?
I think that this is her on-the-ground witchy reality. She is the mother as Earth is the mother, and she is the dirty mother of the kids, and life, family, the grief around family, and the hopeful survival of her children is consummate. I cannot recall a standout conversation where I was like, oh, we're getting off topic for Jessie Buckley's Anya's character, Anya's.
The only thing I can think of is she does talk about herbs and mugwort, and she has that little kind of mantra that she and Bartholomew both know from their witch mom.
Yeah, but not to another lady.
No, and not to another lady. So it makes HAMNET this weird PSA for stay-at-home motherhood.
Does it?
It's like, well,
like a warning, a cautionary tale.
This is her life. She's fully consumed by being a wife and a mother. And her story is the main story. Her evolution as a mom and as a wife is the emotional arc of this film, especially with the emotional loss of a child. I'm just simply pointing out that there's not much going on from a modern sensibility in Agnes's life. And yet she's dealing with the most important human stuff that we deal with, life and death and love and relationship, and I guess in her case, indirect productivity and creativity and all that. She's the muse, and that is her contribution to creation.
So we were going to discuss this way back when, and then Iris disappeared to the Midwest for at least 6 weeks, right? How long? It was a long time.
That's an exaggeration.
And so HAMNET was backburnered for a little while. As such, I've had time to relish or savor this aftertaste of HAMNET, which is not a good one. It feels dirty. I remember it as being kind of unpleasant, kind of maudlin in the dirt, a little bit of frustration at her consistent reference and just basing everything.
Did she annoy you? Did Agnes annoy you?
Only in the way that she was spiritual in a way that I couldn't identify with or couldn't relate to. And she was kind of like Neytiri in Avatar. She was just all sad and all crying all the time. If not sad because she was in child pain. It's like Shakespeare boned her, but then he like boned her. He was like, sorry, and like peaced out and stuff. And she was all in her own world of wallow and sorrow.
You were complaining that he wasn't there. She's the one that knew that he would be crushed in this small world, that he needed a bigger world. She's the one that encouraged him to go to London. She could have gone, but she didn't want to. And I thought for a while that they had worked out a rhythm with him in London and her there, and them meeting up for pockets of time in between his plays or whatever.
But she holds him responsible.
She did it unfairly, and it seemed that he understood that she needed to place the blame someplace other than herself, and that was very human of her to need to place the blame, even though it happens. And in the case of HAMNET, it was HAMNET's wish to be taken by death rather than his twin.
This is why I'm saying kids are stupid. Dumbass Hammy got sick from his sister. He totally blew it. He was going to be on the stage and sword fighting and stuff, and she previsioned it, and then he messed it all up. Anyway, I agree. She didn't blame Bill specifically. She just kind of pushed the blame into the empty spot left by his absence to make sense of it all. She just put it on that shelf that he vacated or whatever, but it was a confusing dynamic to me. Like, family is a thing, and it's not like he didn't have the means to take her. She wanted to be girl in the dirt, and I found that a little bit frustrating, but I didn't have really toe holds once he left to be like, oh, this is exactly where I want to be in this movie, and I'm learning so much.
I mean, Joseph Fiennes was kind of dirty, but in a really polished way compared to this William Shakespeare.
You know that Paul Mescal would be a good successor to James Caviezel as Jesus? Wouldn't Paul Mescal be like the perfect modern day Jesus?
Doesn't Mel Gibson have half a dozen Jesus films in development?
You can only kill. He has a sequel, supposedly, probably, the majority of which is self-funded. But you can only kill Jesus so many times, dog. I don't know.
Paul Mescal would be great in anything, Wes.
Okay. So because Paul Mescal is a big thing, and I'm not sure if he was a big thing when he was cast in this movie by Chloe Zhao, but is this movie supposed to be the tragedy? I mean, obviously, Hamlet, as they made a very delicate association up top, and they never, William Shakespeare as a concept, as a character, was never shoved down our throats because it would have taken away from Agnes. But is this movie supposed to be the tragedy which pushes on, which motivates the bard? Or is this carefully constructed to not be that story? I mean, that is what this story became. But is that the takeaway? Is that the intended takeaway?
I think it's carefully crafted and intended to be the anti-Shakespeare in Love.
The story we've never seen behind the scenes, of which, by the way, there is zero record. There is no record, not so much as a letter. The cause of Hamnet's death was never recorded. We have no idea what happened to that kid. It's all speculation because of the Hamlet association. And the, father-son themes obviously contained therein and his other stuff. It's all made up, maybe.
Okay. So what's the question? Is this a tragedy or a comedy?
Well, I want, what is this movie about? Oh, it's about Shakespeare, but not really about Shakespeare. It's about his wife, and she's really sad. Oh, but Shakespeare's in it? Well, he kind of, he's in and out or whatever. Obviously, he bones her and is the start, the seed of all her problems, if you will. But then he leaves, and mostly we're hanging out with her. Well, what's this movie? Is it about the creation of him? Not really. Yeah, it's the side quest of the less prominent characters. And yeah, she's the partner of Shakespeare, and she is the
muse.
Yeah, the muse and his son, and it's all important, but it's a story that I not to say that it doesn't need to be told.
This has a whiff of the why. Why Hamnet?
Maybe the why is awards bait, but that seems silly. Chloe Zhao seems like a very down-to-earth person, no pun intended. She's a decidedly American-style filmmaker, so the proke was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I don't think she's pretentious. I don't think anybody involved in this movie is pretentious. It's just the themes of, juxtaposing Shakespeare's highbrow prose and poetry with the down-in-the-dirt suffering that everybody experienced in this age of plague is awfully awards-baity on the surface. And I didn't come away loving it. I was pushing you to see this movie for so long that I was worried that it might be, I was building it up. But there's a lot of buzz around it for Oscars, and I wondered what you thought the reason for that was.
Well, Chloe Zhao, Oscar-winning writer-director of Nomadland, no stranger to the awards system.
And the Eternals, with some notable exceptions, these are some of the whitest people ever on screen.
Paul Mescal is very white. I also didn't understand that swimming scene. Was it just to get him? Topless?
Probably. I mean, you didn't understand it, but that doesn't mean you didn't appreciate it. She's been known to do revealing swimming scenes.
Frances McDormand included?
Yeah.
I would imagine that she set out to make the best film possible with the best artists possible. And maybe you can call that awards-baity, but then there were some distinctly bold, kind of in-your-face, defiant choices that she made as a director that, would seem counter to that notion that this is just awards-bait. This bizarro choice that she made to give her actors free rein to speak kind of colloquially or contemporarily. It was so bizarre and anachronistic to me. It kind of took me out when he's like, yeah. And she's like, okay.
No.
And then he's like, sure. And I was like, what? Aren't they supposed to be speaking in iambic pentameter?
No, that's the poetry and the rhythm of it. We're talking about, they all have British accents. That's enough. Remember Amadeus? I think at one point Amadeus was like, dude, come on.
Our discussion for which is available at orwhatevermovies.com, wherever you get podcasts. It was kind of bizarre. The fact that she's in this red dress the entire time, I was like, how long? This story takes place over at least 10 years. I mean, how old is Susanna or Suzanne or whatever her name is, the oldest daughter? She's got to be at least 10 or 12 by the end of this film. She's still in that red dress.
Yeah, this was Inception in the dirt.
she's like a woman who lives inside out, and then she gets like faded and dark as she ages, and maybe a little stiff or whatever. And I was like, okay, I get it, but really, she's wearing the same red dress for 12 years.
Yep. Okay, rapid fire questions, ready to go.
There were some weird choices, all I'm saying, so I would put the awards-bait question behind me. Go.
Was the Globe Theater disappointing, anticlimactic, as a world-famous stage of renown?
They did a lot to dress it down, but the scene itself, well, a little slow.
Was the end a little heavy-handed? Get it? Handed?
Handed? Is that a Hamlet?
No, she took the
alliteration?
actor's hand.
Oh,
and
right,
they were
right.
holding hands while in the midst of a dramatic monologue. Anyway.
I thought she was trying to read his future.
What was the order? Were you like, Noah Jupe? Jacoby Jupe? Or did you look up the little kid first and then be like, holy cow, that's Noah Jupe?
Funnily enough, I mean, I've been reading the headlines of breakout star Jacoby Jupe for like months now.
I hadn't.
But I wondered, could it be like Jupe Jr.? But then it was Noah Jupe of Honey Boy fame. And
how dare you? A Quiet Place Part 2 and 1?
Yeah.
And Ford v Ferrari, which you loved?
And Honey Boy. So even though Jacoby Jupe was on my radar, it was Noah Jupe first and then the connection to his little brother.
That's exactly what happened to me. I was like, is that Noah Jupe, all buff and weirdly tall? And then just looking at, I was like, it is, because I checked his credit in IMDb, and then I was like, Jacoby Jupe, that's the craziest thing. But I did note early on in the thing, I was like, the hammy is really good.
The hammy?
Yeah, he was crying and he was like talking to his mom and all sad, and then wishing his death to take his sister's place. I was like, this kid is strong. Yeah. And I came upon this thing that the Jupes, maybe like the Culkins, maybe like the Fannings, are preternaturally talented, like eerily so. Like that kid was too good. All right. My biggest problem with HAMNET is that HAMNET, for me, spoiled Hamlet.
Because you've never read or seen Hamlet?
It occurred to me that everything I was projecting on Hamlet, aside from the to be or not to be and holding his dad's skull, was all King Lear. I did not know, and still do not know, beyond this and Kenneth Branagh trailers, the story of Hamlet.
Really? That's so weird. But
do I need to surrender my degree? I've never seen a Hamlet movie. I've never seen.
Never?
I was like, I'm an English major. I don't need to see a Hamlet movie. I was there for the original, yo. But when I returned to education, it was decidedly off-canon stuff. Like they weren't going with the classics. They were trying to change it up a little bit. There were entire courses on the Beatles for music theory and for Harry Potter for literature. So I never got formal education, nor did I actually read Hamlet. I read lots of other Shakespeare.
This is like me never having seen Pulp Fiction or Fight Club or something.
It's a shameful blind spot. Do I get to keep my degree?
Whatever you do, I recommend reading it while listening to it or watching it.
I said that. I created that approach to Shakespeare study.
I don't know if that's true, but it's possible that I spontaneously came to that too, because it's just a good idea, plain and simple. But you should read Hamlet, and I'm kind of ashamed and embarrassed that you haven't done it before discussing HAMNET.
It's okay. I'll edit it out. It's too weird.
It's very weird. It's a weird blind spot, and HAMNET, I feel like, is a vastly different experience if you understand Hamlet.
I remember being in the dark when they were talking, and the spirit and Paul Mescal waiting backstage with the clay on his face or whatever. Man, talk about a low budge. I think your Westmont Productions soared in production value over Shakespeare's legitimate Hamlet production at the Globe.
I don't think we ever did Shakespeare. So should I have my theater minor stripped from me?
Is that on paper, or was that just like the classes you tended to follow?
Okay, so you called me out. Theater emphasis.
That is our discussion, our interview, our revelations for Oscar-Beatty HAMNET. Check out 400 other episodes of stuff we don't know what we're talking about. And there's a garbage truck in the background now in my recording. Sorry about that. Orwhatevermovies.com or wherever you get podcasts. 818-835-0473 is the hotline. And orwhatevermovies@gmail.com. It's how you can get a hold of us. What else?
Thanks for listening. And happy award season.
Yay!
Everyone has heard about the U.S. space program, but what is actually going on at NASA? Get the real story in 4 minutes or less with the NASA Daily podcast from Electricast. Join astronauts and researchers as they conduct groundbreaking experiments, work on the International Space Station, and reach for the stars. NASA Daily, your cosmic update.
Electricast.
Ever thought about starting your own podcast?
Do you have a business or a message you want to share with the world?
Well, now it's easier than ever with Electricast. Hi, I'm Mark Netter.
And I'm Peter Rafelson. We're the founders of Electricast Media.
Whether you want to start a new podcast or already have one, join Electricast to grow your audience, monetize your content, and build your community.
With our simple sign-up, you get free promotion, world-class analytics, premium ads, and personal support.
Go to electricast.com and join our community today.
Electricast. Transform your influence.
Electricast.